as an entertainer at his parties. Here she was known to teach guests the latest dance craze, such as the Charleston and the Black Bottom, and it is even said that she instructed the future King Edward VIII how to do both. She was already considering branching out and setting up her own place, annoyed by how small the Parisian dance clubs were by comparison with the venues back in the US. However, her first effort ran into licensing problems and never got off the ground. In 1926, Smith finally managed to open her own place. She called it Chez Bricktop, and it was an instant success, becoming an important cultural spot in Paris in the second half of the Roaring Twenties. It produced many legendary tales. On one occasion, the great American writer John Steinbeck, author of The Grapes of Wrath, was affected by the war. There she set up a successful club in Mexico City and managed it for several years. Then, as Europe rebuilt and the economy recovered after the destruction of the Second World War, she headed back to Paris in 1949. Sadly, the city was no longer as she remembered it. The French capital lost its place as the cultural capital of the world in the 1930s, and it never really got it back, the title shifting to New York City, a place where Ada was well aware that vaudeville and dancing were not in high demand. Accordingly, she headed to Rome instead after a brief attempt at newfound success in Paris. In the Italian capital, she had something of an Indian summer, running a successful club here through the 1950s. She entertained many famous people, and in Paris, she met and began a relationship with a saxophone player by the name of Peter Duconge. They married in 1929, though the marriage soon ran into trouble as Smith became aware of Duconge's affairs. They effectively split up in the 1930s, yet they were never officially divorced, and they remained legally married until Duconge died in 1967. However, it seems very likely that Smith was also bisexual. In the second half of the 1920s, one of the most noted performers at Chez Bricktop was the American-born jazz singer Josephine Baker, a woman notable for being the first African-American woman to star in a major motion picture when she appeared in Siren of the Tropics in 1927. Bricktop told one of Baker's children many years later that they had been in a